Almost every episode of these podcerts up until now, I've been giving you a Zwift update, completely unsolicited. And as the nicer weather hits Toronto and there's no restrictions on taking the bike out for a spin, I'm going to switch my cycle challenges outdoors. I live near quite the hill. It runs right down to the beach, so I thought I'd start taking these jaunts of going up and down that hill. I think the hill has an elevation of 70 meters from top to bottom. First attempt went pretty damn good, and there was, of course, some obstacles from good social distancing by a person who also happens to be a complete idiot. Also, since the last potcert, a first loaf of homemade bread was attempted. Followed a basic recipe of creating a yeast starter, kneading the dry and wet ingredients, let the dough rest for an hour, then got the dough in a pan and let it rest for 30 minutes, baked it for about 25 minutes at 400, let that rest for 45 minutes before slicing it. And it turned out fantastic. I'd rate it a 7 out of 10. Coming off the confidence that the bread was a success, it was time for another baking challenge to try and make spaghetti. Similar process, combining the dry and wet ingredients, kneading that, letting it rest in the fridge, and then running it through a couple pasta attachments. The results were just okay, probably a 5 out of 10. I think due to the first batch being too thin and the second batch sticking together too much while cooking. However, some great baking lessons were acquired. Massive shout out to everyone supporting these videos on Patreon. Check out the link below and see what it's all about. I believe subscription models like Patreon will be the future for artists who do what they do. So thank you very much. This week I wanted to play and talk about my song, The Wilderness I Know. It's off my second album, Adventure Handbook, which coincidentally was recorded 5 years ago this week. Well, most of that album was a full band rock and roll experience. The song was always meant to be more of a solo track. If you've seen my live show in the last 5 years, I've talked about a tour I did in 2014, starting in Paris and finishing in Berlin. What made that tour a little more exceptional than most was I completed it with my bicycle. For 3 months, I cycled 1,700 kilometers across France, Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany, playing dozens of shows along the way. Before I finished in Berlin, I took a little side trip over the border into Poland to play my first ever show there in Stettin. I found Google Maps bike option in Eastern Germany and Poland to get me quite mixed up on these cobblestone paths through forest and fields. I was lost more often than not. But it got me thinking that this might be the last time where you could truly get lost, as GPS and online apps would only improve our lives. It planted the seed for this song. And without further ado, I'm going to play for you The Wilderness I Know, and it goes like this. When I go where no one finds me, to the place that I know that's one shall know me, yeah. When it gets dark, yeah, so dark I can't see myself. Don't all lay down, yet in cobblestones and spiderwebs. Wilderness I know, when the wilderness I know. It gets dark, yes, so dark I can't see myself. When I'll lay down in cobblestones and spiderwebs. Once again, thank you so much for watching and tuning in, and I will see you next week for the next podcert. Cheers.